It's 101. I'm a fan of timeliness, and certainly I don't want to feel like anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like they're wasting their time. So let's get started here. My name is Derek Silva. Actually, maybe I should put that up. Start with this. There we go. As I said, my name is Derek Silva. I'm the head of community and developer relations here at Bloom. I've done a lot in the past, very much in the IT field, not a developer personally, but I can work my way around the bash shell just fine. So what is the Bloom protocol? Ultimately, it's a solution for a secure, decentralized, or some people prefer the term digital identity, and an alternative credit scoring platform. So as far as consumers go, what we're doing is providing them a secure way to authenticate their identity and their financial information without actually exposing personal information, or at least exposing it as infrequently as possible. When we're decentralizing that information sharing between untrusted parties, we actually reduce the risk of identity theft by a massive amount. And as a result, we actually put you, the Bloom ID holder, in full control of your identity and your data. So what we're not is a lender. Some people get confused with that. They ask us about loans and things like that. We're not doing any lending ourselves. We're providing a platform for customers and lenders to actually work together and do business in a much more secure and kind of in an untrusted way. So what we're actually providing is solutions for identity fraud and cross-border credit scoring, something that does not exist, or did not exist until we came along. And the protocol is made up of three things: Bloom ID, which is basically what we've already talked about with your identity; Bloom IQ, which is our open source risk assessment framework; and Bloom Score, which is similar to a FICO score, an Equifax score, but of course different and works globally. So Bloom ID, as I mentioned, it's a decentralized identity. It does allow you to verify your data in a secure way on the Ethereum blockchain. We're actually using the Whisper protocol to do that in an extremely secure way. There's a mobile app already for iOS and a web app available as well. So you can do things like verify your phone number through a confirmation code. You can do your photo ID if you have one through a third-party attester. We've vetted that first third-party attester, and we'll start adding more in the near future. And same with income. Again, a trusted third-party attester, and we'll be able to add additional ones in the near future. Your data itself is not stored on the blockchain. We're not going to put a copy of a JPEG of your driver's license or your passport on the public Ethereum blockchain. What we do instead is actually store something akin to a yes/no value that does seek or has verified the veracity, the authenticity of his driver's license, yes or no. And the data is still encrypted using your private keys, and the raw data is only stored in a mechanism that is fully under your control. It could be a local device, it could be a VPS running some sort of vault software, which something we're working on right now. There'll be different ways to do it, but regardless, we're not taking it in. The testers are not taking it in and storing it for you. It's your data. And what we're doing really is giving you control of when to share it, what data you're sharing, what level of detail, and hopefully in the future, for how long. So what we're trying to do is really put that control back in your hands. And I'm going to actually show you an example here of how the Twitter attestation works. So you choose Twitter, you hit verify. Obviously you have to authorize the API to get the bare minimum data from the Twitter API, and you're done. You've verified, and then a few seconds later, you actually receive an email to verify that the Twitter attestation works. Facebook, Google, LinkedIn work similarly, and then the other ones are, of course, a little bit different depending on what you're doing. compliant with GDPR and California's privacy or data privacy laws, meaning amongst that, meaning that the data, while the data can't be deleted, the attestation can't be deleted from the blockchain. It is possible to delink an attestation from your Bloom ID, therefore removing any links, and nobody can actually tie that data back to you in any way beyond all the other steps we're taking. So, and of course, what happens if you lose, let's say, your iPhone or your Galaxy S9 or what have you? We did put this out for a community vote, and I can tell you actually which ones. When I wrote this was a few months ago, it was before the vote was over. But we provided the community a few different options. The ones that won the vote, or the one that actually won the vote, was number 3. Everything's made invalid. You'd have to start over. Or sorry, that's number 2. Everything is invalid and you'd have to start over. Realistically, we'll probably provide 1 or 2 options in the future. Bloom IQ, as I mentioned, is an open source risk assessment framework. What we're trying to do is actually make it more fair, make it more sense, make it more reflective of your financial maturity as you age and that sort of thing, so that it's a better reflection of your creditworthiness. It's similar to what the large credit bureaus do, of course. If you live in an area where they actually work, the entire thing will be open source. It'll be transparent. It will incorporate other signals. It could incorporate existing assets. It could incorporate cryptocurrency assets you have. It could include a variety of things. Utility bill payments, rent payments, which is very new. Cell phone bills, which some companies do, a lot of companies don't report, and in a lot of countries they don't report. As I mentioned, cryptocurrency holdings and other things, how long you've had your job, your level of income, etc. We're working with the testers, trusted third parties, to determine the validity of utility bill payments and your prior credit history. We do have a mechanism that will allow Bloom ID or Bloom token holders to actually vote on applications for future attesters. And an attester is just someone who can actually verify the authenticity of something you're providing, whether it's a utility bill, your driver's license, what have you. Bloom score is basically the result of your Bloom ID and your Bloom IQ. A stronger Bloom ID, more data, more relevant data, data that shines a good light on you, obviously will result in a higher Bloom score. But because it's cross-border, because it takes in far more signals, we believe it'll be a much better alternative. And in many cases, it'll be the only option you have, because there are lots of places where there's no such thing as a credit score. It'll be intelligent enough to account for individuals at different stages of life, meaning when you're 18, you're just got your first credit card, if you want one, versus someone who's 45, owns a house, has a couple of cars, etc., has paid that all off, or has paid off some substantial loans. Clearly, you're at different points in your life, and your maximum Blue score, we think, should reflect that. As I mentioned, it'll be more inclusive because of all the other factors we're going to take into account. And but of course, we can't force a lender to accept certain credit scores. Every lender is always going to have their own appetite for risk that they're willing to take on. And the algorithm will be open sourced. The token itself, it's an ERC20 token. It is required to participate in the Bloom protocol. You can use it for voting. You can use it for paying attestations, or paying for attestations, whether it's you that's doing it, or it could be in a financial institution you're trying to do business with, similar to how a bank would actually pay Equifax, TransUnion for your credit report now for $10 to $15 US. And of course, that will evolve. The other needs or uses of the token will evolve as the protocol evolves. Beyond finance, you could do all sorts of things. We actually had a strong feedback from the community that they like family relationships being stored on blockchain. So that's something we could do. You could have a verification for dating apps. So it could just say something like, this imaginary person named Sergey has a verified name, verified phone number, verified date of birth. That way, you're not, if you're a woman or a man talking to Sergey, it's not 65-year-old creep pretending to be an 8-year-old girl on the other end, for example. And Lord knows we've seen enough stories of that happening. Or of course, you could also have your educational history tied to your Bloom ID. So Odom, which is another blockchain project, is already working with a school in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, called SAIT to store your degree and proof of that on the Ethereum blockchain. So that's something we could actually use right now and integrate with, or they could integrate with us rather. Or, you know, it could be a prestigious institution like Oxford that does so. I see there's some questions coming in. I'm sorry, I'll get to them after if nobody else is answering them. And I just want to show one other quick thing here. I want to show off just a quick product that we are building already. Where is it? There we go. It's called Bloom Journey. So there we go. So this is actually something we just showed off to a large bank a few days ago. How do I get this full screen? There we go. Because of course, Adobe Reader has to be different. So we've got the Bloom app. Basically, it's your passport to protect and manage your online and your physical identity. One of the big problems we're solving here is data breaches. If you're sharing less data, or if you're only sharing an attestation with another organization, there's very little data to expose, if any. And we're making available right now financial services and a loan marketplace. And of course, we will have the ability to monitor your personal data and get hack and breach alerts in the near future. The iOS app has been doing really well. It is routinely in the top 100 iOS utilities in that category. Overall, we've got over 250,000 users that engage with Bloom. You might have seen the news recently that we have over 140,000 Bloom IDs created. The marketplace itself is essentially a product we're building on top of the protocol, where we're bringing in lenders to offer their services to Bloom ID holders. And in the very near future, we will have one-click apply with a bunch of them set up so that you click, you authorize sharing the data that the lender is looking for. Hopefully at the first, it's just, you know, your name, your phone number, your email, etc., as opposed to any really crucial data like a driver's license or passport, and get some pre-qualification out of there. Journey itself is something we're actually providing for financial institutions to make it easier for them. So you probably saw the news last year that we were working with BMW Financial USA, still in discussions on how to move that forward, but from what I understand, those are going really well. And of course, we're working with American Express Middle East last fall. The bearded guy on the far right in that photo is Connor Hayes, is one of our team members, and he was in Bahrain. Several other team members also went to Bahrain to meet with American Express Middle East executives, and we're working with them to bring any sort of digital application process to the region and make it modern immediately, rather than going through the whole pen and paper morass. And so what we're really doing is a few things for financial institutions, originating loans more quickly, more efficiently, credit cards in Amex's case, making part of that user provision financials, employment and identity, making it really easy and secure to share that data with BMW, because for lately, or up until very recently, it's literally all pen and paper and something you need to fax. And the opportunities there for data loss and privacy loss are massive. And of course, the whole user experience is drastically improved compared to pen and paper, people scribbling weirdly and that sort of thing. And we hope that that'll be the go-to software for lenders to help improve their product, bring in more customers, customize the flow a lot more quickly, and of course eliminate data breaches of your data when you're engaging with those institutions. Okay, I've already gone way over my time. Sorry about that, but I will pass the baton on to Chase.
Cool, thanks, Eric. Did you want to answer questions now that came up, or Should that be?
Oh, sure. I'll look. So what came in here while I was
Just the
chatting?
last two messages.
Last two. Okay. So Crypto Master, how does Bloom get access to transaction and loan payment data of users for its score? That's up to you. Again, this is fully, or yeah, it's fully user initiated. For example, the income attestation, we're using a trusted third party to initiate that. They have direct relationships with hundreds of banks all over the world, maybe thousands. And so it's up to me to, unless I wanted to get somebody else to do it, right now it's up to me to log into the Bloom app, start the income attestation. I link my bank account, by logging into the online banking portal, basically, and it starts to comb through and prove. There's two different ones. One's income, and the other one is assets. So, for example, I'm lucky enough to own a house. That's an asset. The mortgage is also with the same bank, financial institution. So I would be able to prove those two things, or attest that I have a certain level of income, or that I have an income, and that I do own multiple assets quite quickly that way. But I'm the one initiating it. I'm the one choosing to share the data. If you don't have a bank account, obviously that'll be something you skip. So that's what we're doing there. Also, do you think Bloom is more aimed at current first world, or do you plan to go after the increasing population? Yeah, so certainly right now it is. I would say it's more useful currently in developed countries, first world countries, if you want to use that term. However, we do have relationships with organizations like Everex and Access Network, who are primarily focused on overseas. Access Network is working really well in Western Africa, several countries there. That's their focus, and we're hoping that once we integrate the two projects, again, the individuals already that already have a relationship with Access Network can choose to attest the loan or loans that they've taken out through Access, and they are making payments, and therefore prove their credit worthiness. Everex, they're working right now in Myanmar and Thailand primarily. And so same thing, somebody is working in Thailand, sending money back home to Myanmar. So they're using the Everex wallet for remittances, and they'll be able to do something similar. We'll be able to actually give them a decentralized identity if they don't have any sort of physical proof right now. And I believe, if I recall correctly, precious few people do in that region. And prove that they have an income and that they're able to support their family and that sort of thing. So that will certainly help. So yes, primarily, you could look at it as a first world thing right now, but we're expanding. I think your last question is, yeah, so isn't there a big problem with allowing people to share what they want? Yes and no. Yes, certainly you could see where an individual will only want to share data that shows them in a good light, but ultimately that's why it goes back to a lender to determine how much risk they're willing to take. If they get what they would deem to be an incomplete application, or they ask for a little bit more info, that's their choice. And if you don't feel like you can provide that, or providing that extra little bit of info is going to show you in a more negative light, well, then it's likely that the opportunity is then lost. And maybe you go to a peer-to-peer marketplace like ETHLend instead. Hope that makes sense. No problem. Okay, Chase, over to you.
Cool. So yeah, let me see. Can I take over? How can I start presenting? Share desktop, there we go. Okay. Can everyone see my screen now?
Nope.
I don't see it yet, Jace.
Did you choose which window or the full desktop? There it goes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'll be talking more about like technical architecture of Bloom, how we're set up. So overall, we're pretty much we're very TypeScript heavy node. Like our server is TypeScript and Express, and our client, our main web client, is TypeScript, React, and MetaMask for Web3 interactions. And these are our open source repos. Most of them, I think like all of them are basically TypeScript or JavaScript, because that's what we write in. So we'll start with ShareKit and ReceiveKit. These two are the first steps for integrating Bloom. ShareKit is you can render a QR code onto your page, and that will allow Bloom users to scan that QR code from the mobile app and share data securely to you. And ReceiveKit is a simple Express endpoint that validates the data that is shared via ShareKit. And ShareKit also holds the verification logic for those attestations and that data, both on-chain and off-chain verification. And it's up to the consumer, the developers integrating to determine whether or not they want to verify like on-chain, off-chain. And then there's attestation lib, which is just kind of like a general library for attestation logic. Not the contract logic, but types and dealing with them, and just shared logic that we use between a few of our repos when dealing with attestations and creating attestations. And then there's attestation kit, which is it's a Docker node essentially that can act as requester or a tester for attestations, and that this is what uses the Whisper network to do so in a secure manner. And then core, of course, is our Bloom protocol smart contracts. That's kind of just like where everything lives, and of course we're open source, so you can go check this stuff out to see the architecture of the Bloom protocol, how the attestations are done. And then also on core is our blips, which is our Bloom improvement proposals. Similar to Ethereum's EIP, this just lets the community know what we're doing, and it also allows the community to propose these improvements. So right now we have these 4 that these are made internally by us, but we definitely see that expanding to other people, community members interacting with us and blips, and kind of we're all forging this Bloom protocol together. That's pretty much it for that. Are there any, I think I saw some questions. Let me pop back over to that. Is it possible for one's Bloom credit score? Okay, Eddie's talking about that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Any other questions?
Can you elaborate on that question? Justin?
Oh.
For linking multiple addresses, so yeah, I'm a good example. I've got my MetaMask address that I initially started my Bloom ID with day 1 that it was available, even before I joined the team. I've also got a Trezor hardware wallet that would be great for showing, you know, cryptocurrency assets that I've just got lying around. If I wanted to use those as collateral for a fiat loan or something like that for some reason, you could have soon like a Trust wallet or a Coinbase wallet, mobile browser, a separate address in there that you want to link because, I don't know, you're getting paid to do micro tasks or something like that. There's all sorts of reasons why you might want to link multiple hard or Ethereum wallets and even devices to the same Bloom ID.
And Justin, that last question for if somebody has poor credit score, would they be incentivized to not have that score travel with them? The score wouldn't travel with them if they just forgot about that old Ethereum address and got a new one, but they would have to reattest all the same data. Like their data hasn't changed. Their poor credit, their high risk hasn't necessarily changed.
Yeah, I mean, starting over is not going to really do them any favors.
And then CryptoMaster asked, do you have any programs or grants for encouraging developers to build on Bloom? Yes, we do have bounties. I think those are still up, right, Derek?
Yeah, I've got 2 bounties right now. One is actually a review of our smart contracts, looking for any security issues. You can earn up to 5 Ether if you find something severe. Somebody actually already did late November. And so there's that. And we also have one that will pay you 2 Ether if you actually integrate ShareKit into your app. Now, it doesn't have to be live, although that would be ideal. Even just to test it out, and if you find some issues or some inconsistencies that we need to address in the documentation, that would be great. But yeah, I've got a bunch of Ether from our CFO lying around, ready to pay out those bounties if somebody comes along with them. The go-to-market strategy, I'll do this really quickly. So a few different things. One, we want to encourage as many existing apps and websites as possible to offer Bloom ID as a registration and authentication mechanism, similar to what used to be called Facebook Connect, or signing up or in with your Google account, or signing up or in with your Twitter account, and so on. Obviously, we've got Bloom Journey, which we're approaching larger financial institutions with right now. From what I'm told, those initial discussions are going quite well. We have, and we'll have the ability to go from mobile app to mobile app in the near future. I know the team's working on hashing that out and figuring out how that's going to work. We will also be doing, we're sponsoring hackathons. We sponsored one at Ethereum San Francisco a few months ago. We're sponsoring one at ETH Denver, and and we do have, we are forming a Bloom grants system. I don't know what you would call it. Certainly not a foundation, but we are putting together Bloom grants, similar to, I guess, Gitcoin grants, which just started a little while ago, to incentivize development. Back to go-to-market. We're finding organizations that can benefit from the protocol, and we're approaching them in a variety of ways. And whether it's getting them into the lender marketplace and then getting them to integrate Bloom ID for one-click applications, or providing Bloom Journey on, I believe, a fairly custom basis. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong about the custom part. Or just for free, getting people to offer Bloom ID as a login mechanism. Hopefully, by the end of this year, you'll see the Bloom logo just about everywhere you look. Okay, Chase, if you're done, I guess we'll hand it over to Eddie.
Cool. Yeah. So elaborating on what I just mentioned here with the hackathon stuff, we started this project, the Bloom Starter, that I'm going to share my screen and then kind of walk through how to get that up and running. And it's a perfect starting point, not only for hackathons, but for anyone that really wants to start building on top of Bloom. So let's see if I can figure this out. Share. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
Cool. So here's the Bloom Starter project. And the idea here is this is going to be a place for multiple tech stacks to kind of be a centralized repository for starter projects for different tech stacks. So if you're a .NET developer, Python developer, and you want to build a starter project, this is where it would live. And any devs for hackathons or other integrations can start here and ideally have multiple tech stacks built out. So we've currently built out one that we use in our tech stack called Bloom Starter React. So I'll go here and kind of walk through getting up and running. It's pretty simple. As you can see over here, I also have my phone running because I'll be scanning one of those ShareKit QR codes to demo the whole end-to-end functionality. So the first part is getting this code down. So go ahead and get that cloned. And then I'm going to traverse into the starter directory and install the dependencies for the project. The project, like Jace mentioned, follows our tech stack here at Bloom, which is TypeScript, Express, and React on the front end. It also is dependent on our ShareKit to render the QR code and uses sockets to update the screen in real time. So this shouldn't take too long. We also have a live implementation at the previous page on the root repository README. So now I've got my dependencies installed. I'm going to create an environment file for my my configuration here. We actually provide a sample environment. So I'll just copy the sample into the environment file here. And then I should be up and running. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. See here in my terminal that it's, I'm using a proxy tech called ngrok so that I can communicate with my home machine via the internet. And that's kind of how the communication works once I spin up the Bloom application. So the QR code actually dictates where I'm sending the verified data from Bloom. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here so you can see it. I'm going to open the Bloom app, authenticate with my Face ID. And as you can see here, I have my email attestation complete. So I'm going to go ahead and scan that. So there's my modem. There's my little Yoda. So I'm going to scan this QR code. And there's my verified email. And you can see the ngrok URL there, here. So I'm going to go ahead and slide to share. And that looks like it worked there. Let's see, try that again. It's supposed to update on the client side as well. Oh, there we go.
It looked like it did it the last time. It just took a second. It was like right before you hit refresh.
Gotcha. Yep. So that's a full end-to-end test that hackers at hackathons or even a developer at a B2B business that might be using Journey can start integrating the Bloom protocol with. And that's all I've got. Looks like there might be some chats and I can answer any questions here.
There's a new one. Oh, nice tutorial. Thanks. Good. Thanks, Crypto Master. Glad you liked it. If you have any questions about the protocol itself, the open source libraries, the smart contracts, the starter kit, now is a great opportunity to ask since all three of us are here.
Yeah, so do you have, there's a question, do you have integration with existing financial institutions? Who and how?
I did answer that one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, early on, we do have income and asset attestations already available in the web app. Those will be available in the iOS mobile app, hopefully before the end of February. There is an Android app on the way as well. We're hoping to launch that this month, but I guess things got delayed a little bit. It happens. So we have that ready to go. And, in terms of like official one-on-one partnerships, we're in discussions and working with a variety of organizations, of financial institutions specifically, on making that happen. A couple up here in the Great White North in Canada, several in the U.S., and also a few with some overseas reach. So yeah, hopefully that'll work soon. Right, via Quovo. Justin does have a question. It was one for either Chase or Eddie. Can you explain in more detail the token escrow feature?
We don't really have that implemented fully yet, but yeah, there will be more to come on that.
That's how the Whisper negotiations work, right? With the token escrow. But we kind of bypass that since we're the only attesters and requesters, I think, at the moment.
Right. Yeah. It kind of relies on this token escrow marketplace to be deployed for multiple attesters to be like bidding.
Yes. Right. So yeah. So we're still in a world here where we've got where we have vetted the first attester on each attestation that we've brought to bear. In the future, so for example, Quovo is our preferred or first income and asset verifier attester. They just got bought by Plaid, but if they continue to operate independently, you could see a place where Plaid, Quovo, up here in Canada, Flinks, and who else? Maybe Yodlee or a few others are actually bidding on each attestation task. So Justin could put his in, and Quovo could bid the lowest amount of BLT and get that job. And then the next one could be Flinks that gets it. So that's where the token escrow feature will come into play. It's not there yet, as Eddie mentioned, but that's when it'll come to bear, and we'll have it available, or it'll actually be used. How Bloom protects user privacy in regards to Bloom identity. Chase or Eddie, either one of you want to tackle this one?
Sure. Yeah, so when you do an attestation, your data, like Derek said, is not actually going to live on chain. We use Merkle tree proofs, which are basically, like, if you understand what a hash is, a hash of your attested data is going to live on chain, and the rest will be local on your device. Or once we roll out the vault, we will provide like a managed service, which will use encryption via PGP keys on your devices. So key-based encryption and sharing, similar to PGP tech. But also the hash that lives on chain is only computable if you have all that data, which is only living on your device anyway. So that's kind of a general overview of that.
Do you have any use cases which you'd like the hackathon participants to try using Bloom Protocol? I'm deciding to use this for B2B marketplaces and similar ones. That sounds cool.
I have one, actually.
Go for it.
One thing that Isaac, another dev, had mentioned in Slack the other day that would be cool is something akin to like some hardware integration, thinking like maybe like a smart lock or a smart garage door, where you can actually grant opening privileges to another Bloom user for a specified amount of time, and on a specified amount of day, and you can revoke those things. Something like that, where you can like hook up a Raspberry Pi to like a motor or something, would be really cool to see. And I'll be at Denver, so if someone does that, it'd be sweet.
It's ETH anyway. That's okay. Somebody told me it's ETH, and I'm like, yeah, but it's Ether. So anyway, Seek, will you guys collaborate with your competitors to aid mass adoption? Yeah, sure. Why not? It's we have nothing to lose, and I'm not sure that they do either in the long run. It really depends on how they want to run their businesses. But I won't say with who, but I know that there's been some initial discussions with a competitor, depending on your perspective on who we're competing with. So yeah, on them integrating Bloom protocol and being a data provider. So yeah, it's not Civic or anybody like that. It's, I don't want people to speculate too much. It's a traditional business, let's say that. So yeah, that's certainly a possibility. As much as I thought it was a little bit of a marketing stunt, if somebody wants to do crypto beer or some sort of thing like that at the at ETH Denver, go for it. It was novel. I'll say that. Your criteria for accrediting or accepting in testers. So initially, we've been focusing on organizations that are obviously willing to work with us, willing to, embrace the whole idea of the Bloom protocol. Once things are opened up a bit more, and let's say Flinks, who's a financial aggregator similar to Quovo, but they're based here in Canada. Once companies like that want to participate of their own accord, rather than us, approaching them, they'll actually be able to complete an application. This is the way it's been laid out. They'll be able to complete an application that'll actually go out to the whole community. They'll need to pay an application fee in BLT, in Bloom tokens, not bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches, and then the community will actually get to vote on whether to accept their proposal and accept that that company as an attester or data provider. And if you do vote, then you'll actually receive a portion of the application fee. So let's say it was 5,000, 1,000 people vote, you each get 5 BLT, something like that. So I imagine there'll be a vetting process on our side as well, just to make sure that the company is legit itself before they get through. But we don't want to hold up that process unnecessarily.
Got it. Hey, we're closing up on 45 minutes here. I really, really appreciate your guys' time. This has been a great experience. Where can participants find more information about Bloom and any technical documentation?
Bloom.co is the primary website. Bloom.co/docs, DOCS, is where the API documentation is. Each different portion, like the share kit portion and the attestation kit portion, will lead you to the GitHub. We'll link back to the GitHub repo for that library. Eddie just shared that in the chat, github.com/hellobloom. And those are your primary sources. If you want to chat, we have a Telegram community, t.me, so yeah, t.me/Bloom protocol. Well, there's a subreddit as well, bloomtoken.reddit.com. You're probably not the target demo for this, but if you like Facebook, we're at facebook.com/bloomtoken. There's links to all this stuff on the website. And yeah, those are all your best sources. So if you want to chat directly with the team, the Telegram group is definitely your best bet. Subreddit is a distant but optional second place.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Justin. Thanks a lot for doing this, and good luck to all the hackathon participants.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.